All right, we're going to get started here. Go ahead. Thank you for your guys' patience.
All right, well, good morning, everybody. My name is Tony Lopiccolo. I'm the president and CEO of the Menifee Valley Chamber of Commerce. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome everybody to our first virtual Small Business Mayors Roundtable. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day to join and attend this great event. Going virtual is a new platform for us, so please be patient with us. I'd like to also take this opportunity to thank Mayor Bill Zimmerman and the City of Menifee for putting on this event. Moving forward, if you have not already submitted your questions, please use the chat icon at the bottom of your screen. Gina and Karla will be monitoring the chat and any of the email questions that arrive prior to this meeting. Those questions will be presented to the appropriate city official. At this point in time, I'd like to introduce our mayor, Bill Zimmerman.
Well, hi, Tony. Thank you. It's great to be here this morning. You know, we have two priorities in this city right now during this pandemic: the health and well-being of our residents, but secondly, the fidelity of our local economy. So I just wanted to thank and show some appreciation to the panelists who are joining us this morning. You know, our small businesses are the lifeblood of our local economy. They employ our residents and they energize our local commerce so that we can circulate our wealth right here in town. So I'm pleased to have my esteemed colleague, Councilmember Lisa Sobek, joining us this morning. Lisa, did you want to say a couple of words? All right, I don't hear her, but what I'm going to do is introduce our city manager, Armando Villa, and I'm going to ask Armando if he would introduce his economic development director who's with us, as well as some of the other staff that's joining us as well. So good morning, Mr. City Manager.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, and good morning, audience. It's very nice to be here, and thank you so much for joining us today. Before I introduce the staff, they put together this really wonderful program for you guys. I want to let the public know that because of the COVID-19, we're having to do this virtually. And I think by now you should know that although we are close to the public and City Hall's close, we continue to work behind the scenes to help you with all your needs. We have developed some really good tools and websites to go virtual so we can help you with your needs. And I think we're going to probably put up that web address where you can access all the resources and services that we have developed for you in the event you need to access City Hall. And at this point, like I said, we have developed a really good program to assist with your needs during this COVID pandemic. It's causing a tremendous amount of stress for not just the city, but everyone, and it's impacting the entire world. So I want to thank you for your patience. I think we're going to get through this. I'm starting to see some positive numbers and some positive attitude from the county officials at the state level as well, including the federal government. So we are going to get through this. We need your patience and cooperation and persistence. We don't want all this effort and all this investment we've done over the last month to go to waste and have a relapse. So we ask you to please respect the rules and observe the social distancing requirements. They're for your own health and for the health of others. So thank you so much. At this time, I'd like to introduce Gina Gonzalez, our Economic Development Director, so she can help us overview what's in store for you today. Thank you.
Thank you, Armando. I wanted to take a quick second and just kick it over. I think we resolved some of the issues with Councilmember Sobek. If you wanted to say a few words.
That would be wonderful. Thank you, Gina. I didn't get to hear what was said by the mayor at the beginning, and so I hope I don't repeat anything, but I just want to welcome those who've attended or joining us this day. I want to thank the Chamber and Tony for partnering with the city, and you have just been doing I know tremendous work behind the scenes, and I hope that this will benefit our community and especially our business community. And I just want to thank our guests for joining us today to help bring some answers and hopefully help some of our businesses where they need to be helped. And I just hope that everyone is doing well, you and your family. As I did hear the city manager say, this can be a stressful time. And we want you to know that as a city, that we are here for you and that we are working hard behind the scenes, especially our city staff. And so I just want to say welcome and look forward to hearing from our guest speakers today.
Thank you, Council Member, and thank you, Armando and Mayor. We'll jump right into this. We have a really long agenda here, but with a lot of great information. So we'll just jump right into it. I'm going to share my screen here with you. Let's see here. Can everybody see here? Okay. So I just wanted to reiterate, Menifee City Hall, we have gone virtual, so we are closed to the public right now. However, there are people behind the scenes that are working day in and day out. We are working around the clock. If you email, if you connect with us, a lot of us are responding at all hours of the day, beyond that 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. We realize that in the time of this pandemic that the responsiveness and knowing that our city staff is there to provide the services that our residents need, deserve, and have come to expect from our city, that's our top priority. So our City Hall is open, and if you're looking for services, we've really kicked into gear that one-stop shop to a zero-stop shop, and our community development team and our economic development team, we have really gone above and beyond to ensure that our business continues forward and that all of our stakeholders have the tools that they need to be successful, especially during this difficult time. So one of the things that our team has been doing since the very beginning as we have been monitoring our economic impact to our business community and our local community. One of the things that we've been doing is benchmark surveys throughout this, and we've already conducted 2, and we'll be continuing that through this process to really understand the benchmarks and what we have started with and what we're going to end with here. It is a way to respond to the needs of our community. So with that, I thought this was an important time to also discuss kind of what we're seeing from an unemployment level. As you probably have heard, the United States right now, unemployment levels right around, they reported this morning about 26 million that are unemployed. In the state of California, we're looking at about 1 million that have filed for unemployment. And that's right around the 5.3% for the state of California, which was a 1.4% increase from where they were just before the month of March. So how does that look for the city of Menifee? Well, our March numbers is right around 5.3% as well. And just before March, in February, we were looking around 3.7. We just came out from right around 4% in 2019 for our overall average for the city, our annual average for the city. So we started to really see a decline with our unemployment as we've been really enhancing our job creation efforts, our industry efforts. So, I'll be very honest, when we were looking at the unemployment reported numbers for March, I think everybody across California and the United States really did not know the true impacts locally to each community. And while it's still it's a sobering time for everybody, the impacts is not as severe at this point in March. And as we continue on, we're not exactly sure what that's going to look like moving forward into May, but thought it was important to really give you a snapshot of what we're looking at as far as our unemployment goes. When we looked at our business impact survey, and it was a snapshot in time, mind you, depending on which businesses, industries that are responding, so it could fluctuate. But we thought this was extremely important to really get an understanding of what we were looking at. So about 60% of those that were involved in the survey were reportedly are open, conducting business in the city. And about close to 40% were currently closed or operating behind the scenes. So what does that mean? What are they looking at as far as loss in revenue for our businesses locally? About 40% of our businesses were looking at between $10,000 and $50,000 that they've lost within just that last month. And when you looked at the median, just about 76% are between $0 and $50,000. So there's a large chunk of it. Obviously, when we look at the impacts to businesses, the majority of them are feeling the financial hardship. They're reporting that the impacts of the closure is affecting them. And then also the cancellation of events and gatherings has severely impacted the flow of business and that daytime population that a lot of them have come to enjoy, which also equates to traffic in our community. But those are all positives for businesses. They like to see that influx of customers into our businesses locally. So we took that information, and what does that mean for our economic development team and our actual plan moving forward and how we respond? Well, obviously, as a new city that was up and coming and growing and trying to bring in additional amenities, we were really concentrating on more of attraction efforts, some retention efforts, but that really has shifted the gears for our overall response and our strategy and moving into more retention efforts and then still having some type of attraction efforts, but really switching gears and concentrating on retaining the existing businesses that we have here. So what does that mean? Well, in the city of Menifee, our economic development department, we have a slew of different programs that we currently offer. A lot of people might not know exactly what economic development does or how we've been able to interface with each of you at different levels or programs, but this is really a slew of some of the programs that we offer within our department, responsible for attraction, retention, expansion efforts, job industry creation. We have ombudsman services. So that's issue resolution, that's consulting, access to capital, we do networking, but the list is quite large and quite grand. And if you notice, there's a B3 next to some of these programs. And one of the things we wanted to really emphasize is our B3 program is our Building Better Businesses program, and that's part of our retention efforts. And so kicking that into gear and how we'll respond to COVID-19 for our business community, we've created the Menifee Cares Disaster Recovery Initiative for businesses and individuals. And this is really starting to begin that recovery effort for our businesses. And you can access those resources through menifeebusiness.com, Menifee Cares, or you can go to cityofmenifee.us/coronavirus, and it will direct you to this exact website and all of our resources that are available. So that also incorporates our Menifee Rewards program, which was another program that we've pulled out or pushed out towards supporting our existing businesses that are open, those essential businesses, eateries. So takeout, delivery options. We really wanted to entice people to really support them in a safe and responsible manner. But what we're offering is an incentive that if you support our local businesses by shopping local, in return, we would be rewarding you for showing that support. So if you're looking for more information on that, menifeebusiness.com/rewards is where you'll find that information. We have offered through our council and our city manager a business licensing relief program where we have provided relief for those that are filing for their business licensing for 6 months. So extending that till the end of June for our businesses that were up for renewal in January. We wanted to ensure that that is the least of their worries, is that if they have an active business license in the city, and we didn't want that to prevent them from obtaining any type of loans or access to information or resources that are available to them. Additionally, we've been partnering with our community services department in providing senior meals, and additionally, we've been utilizing our Menifee eateries to help provide some of those senior meals as a way to assist our local businesses, but then also assist our food vulnerable seniors in our community. Again, I mentioned ombudsman services. We also partner and provide SBDC here locally with Karla, who you're going to hear from in a little bit. But we provide free webinars, free personal one-on-one consulting through the SBDC, and that's a resource that the City of Menifee is providing to our businesses here locally, free of charge. Again, there is no strings attached to that, and they are not held responsible towards any one lender or anybody. They are part of the SBA. It's a program that is provided to you free of charge to help through if it is if you need assistance with your business plan, if you need marketing, if it's assistance with the loan application, just basic questions. Myself and my team, and then Karla Gonzalez is here for you, and we'll touch base on that in just a moment. We also provided and put together, one of the things that we did receive back from the business impact survey was people were looking for those resources, as I mentioned. So what does that look like? It's way too cumbersome, the way that there's a lot of people throwing information at you right now. And what does that look like? How can I go through that information a lot quicker? Well, we provided a small business toolkit for employees and employers, and that is also available on our website for you. You can even go under downloadable resources, and it's there available for you. But it has broken down all of the resources that are available to you in an easy, condensed format. Additionally, we are considering policies for project timeline extensions, bridge loan gaps, and then also we provided essential business lists and then mapping tools too of those businesses and where they're located in our city. We've pushed out marketing publication ads, multiple different levels. We've even done television PSAs for some of our more vulnerable populations within the city, trying to get everybody that resource information as quickly as possible. And then we've done plaza outreach, business support outreach, where we're working with our direct plaza owners on trying to provide relief to our businesses, all of our tenants with their landlords. And then we've also been working on a regional collaboration effort with all of the local Southwest Riverside County economic development cohorts, and we've been collaborating and cooperating together with the county and all working together with the same information, trying to work lock in step so that way we're really helping our region as a whole to come out of this quite quickly and successfully. Again, these are some of the resources that I did mention that were available. There is, again, our business toolkit, our business resource guide for entrepreneurs, our startups, and our small businesses. And again, we have the webinar schedule for COVID for assisting your business on all this free information that is provided to you. And then most recently, we have a community resource guide that's hitting the streets on Monday. That is a 20-page resource guide mailed to all the homes and businesses as well. Again, I'm wrapping this up, but this is the team. And if we can assist you, email econdev@cityofmenifee.us. That email goes to my entire team. So again, some of you already know, if you email at 11 o'clock, I'm going to respond. 2 in the morning, I'll respond. So just send us an email. Ways to connect, again, we have multiple different levels to connect, and we do always encourage our Menifee official app for requesting services. When you're out and you see something, to please report it. And again, we are open in City Hall, just not open to the public, but virtually. And I will jump out of this. We're going to jump into the good stuff. My friend here, Mr. Jose Arballo, is here with us, and he is with the Department of Public Health for Riverside County. And Jose is a senior public information specialist with public health. He has worked there since 2011, and he's been one of several public information officers who have provided updates to the media during this corona virus response and crisis communications that we're all enduring. Prior to working to the county health department, he was a newspaper reporter. We won't hold that against you, Jose, for 25 years. And he's actually, this is a really interesting note, he started his career here at Sun City News in 1984. So he's a native to our area. So welcome, Jose.
Good morning. Good morning. Before I get started, I wanted to make sure you knew that normally I would be wearing a mask to cover my nose and mouth, but I wanted to make sure you guys were able to hear me, so I took it off just so we could hear. But it's really important that people know here at Public Health that we walk the walk, because we tell people to cover your nose and mouth all the time. So just so you know, normally it would be on. I wanted to give you guys a general update, and then more specifically to the Menifee Southwest area. I work here at the Emergency Operations Center here in downtown Riverside. That's part of the county administration building. And so we've been here for about 2 months now, and we've been working with our community partners for that time. We have conference calls regarding with our cities, our hospitals, our schools, trying to provide the latest information on what's going on. So just some bare bone numbers. We've had overall just over 3,000 confirmed cases in Riverside County. And we've had 99 deaths, sadly. And we have 789 recoveries, meaning the people, they tested positive, they went through the quarantine, they were tested, they were screened as to whether they were asymptomatic or not. And at some point their public health records the case was closed, and that's how you get the recovery. So that's good news. Our numbers are going up there. In Menifee, we have 91 cases, and you have 3 deaths there. In your communities nearby of Wildomar, we had 37 cases and 2 deaths, and over in Marietta, 83 cases and 3 deaths. Giving an update on other information, this week, Public Health Officer Dr. Cameron Kaiser and our emergency operations director opened up the golf courses that have been closed. I know that was a big deal for a lot of people. The golf courses now allow biking and hiking, activities like that. One of the things, I know it's getting warm out there, but the pools are going to remain closed for the time being. And I know that's an issue for some people, but at this point, Dr. Kaiser just doesn't see the ability to have the pools open and continue to have that social distancing that we require. Now, and the other thing, I know that people are asking, when am I going to be able to open my business? I know that was asked before the meeting. I don't have a date. I know our public health director, Kim Sauer-Ratawi, has also said we don't have an exact date. I can tell you this, that the numbers are promising. They've gotten better. Our doubling rate, which was 4.3 days a few weeks back, has now pushed out to 7 days. So that's a good sign. And that means things like our social distancing, our staying at home, our covering our nose and mouths has been working. And our rate of other things, hospitalizations, ICU cases, new cases are continuing to go up, but they're not going up at the same rate that we were previously. The other thing that is important too, testing is one of the areas that's really important to have a very thorough testing system in place. Right now we have 4 locations in the county that are we've been operating for quite a bit of time. Lake Elsinore, Riverside, Indio, and now Paris nearby. We have one a testing site down in Blythe that was opened yesterday. It will be operational until Saturday. So at this point, we've tested nearly 32,000 people, which gives us a good number. The thing that makes that important is you want to test as many people as possible so that you get a better idea of the extent of the virus in the community, in this case, Riverside County. I know people are asking about the antibody test. That just isn't something we're going to be doing right now. That doesn't mean we won't be doing it in the future, but it's something that, again, Dr. Cameron Kaiser, our public health officer, says more study needs to be done. We need to get more clarification, and we need to get the testing that's going to be approved by, I think it's the FDA. So I know they did some testing or some antibody testing in Los Angeles and some other areas. At this point, it's not happening here, although that doesn't mean it might not happen in the future. And then so the other thing that we're looking at too is the expansion of our restrictions lessening. We are looking at different things as we make the move to eventually lift all restrictions. So, you know, I know it's been a very stressful and frustrating thing at times, and we really appreciate the people of Menifee and Riverside County that have done such a great job of helping flatten the curve. I think you see behind me, that's our logo there that we've been using for most of our response here. The idea is to flatten the curve, and we've been saying that for a long time, and we are now showing the results of that hard work and the sacrifice by residents, business owners, and everyday residents who say, you know, I'm going to stay home. I'm going to sacrifice my economic benefits to help the community, and it's been great. Now we're asking you to do it a little longer, and I know that it's not the easiest thing around, but we will get through this together. And I think that most of the things that we are trying to do now as we move forward, we hope that you'll see an economic benefit to it. People being able to go out and do small things, and eventually, at some point, we'll get back to where we want to be. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Jose, very much. And again, I just wanted to remind everybody, we're going to do some questions at the end here, but you can submit those at econdev@cityofmenifee.us. And again, to utilize the ASL interpreter, again, at the top of your screen, you can hover over the ASL interpreter and select to spotlight that video, so those services are provided. Again, thank you, Jose, for all of this information. Again, you're absolutely right. All of our business community, we are very engaged, and we're watching every little effort in order to find out how that's going to impact us locally with our business community. And we are anticipating to support them with opening. It's very encouraging to hear exactly that the efforts that everybody has been enduring and taking to safeguard our community has in fact been working. So thank you for that information this morning. We're going to kick it over. Mr. Traylon Bradley, he's the Senior Business Development Specialist with the Governor's Office. Mr. Bradley administers also the Opportunity Zones initiatives for GoBiz, and that is a place-based federal tax incentive for capital gains investments. He also works directly with the Business Investment Center for California, in sitting companies who are considering California for relocation or expansion. So he's one of our guys trying to keep businesses locally here, not only just within Menifee, but in California. Within the business investment services, he also assists our companies with navigating a wide array of services and incentives and resources that are available at the local, state, and federal level. We're very pleased to have Traylon here to provide some information to our local businesses. So thank you very much, Mr. Bradley, for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Gina, and thank you to the City of Menifee. Excuse me really quickly while I figure out how I am working this screen. So I'm very new to this program specifically. So hold on one second, and then I can get up my screen here. Okay, thank you. So yeah, thank you everybody. My name is Trey Bradley. I'm a Senior Business Development Specialist in the Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development. And first would like to say that it is an honor here to be with you all, City of Menifee. I am from right around the corner, grew up in Hemet, California, and so I live in Sacramento right now, but I'm trying to find my way back to the Southern California area. So please, if you have any ideas of how I can get back, I'm looking to return back from Sacramento, even though I do like it up here right now. It has actually been beautiful these past couple of days. So thank you all, everyone. I'm going to be just talking about a few of the resources we have here at the state level, and I apologize for not being able to stay for the Q&A session. There is a lot of movement going along, as you can imagine, with the updates looming with the Small Business Administration and further programs coming. So the Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development, we are a separate entity within the state government. So we have the name Governor's Office within our title, but we are a different agency as GoBiz, and that is the short. We are up here at business.ca.gov. And if you go to this page, you can land here. It's very easy. We just redid this website, so very easy to use. And if you click at the top, you can use here, and this banner is up here all the time. And you can see here our COVID-19 page. where we have all of the information, financial and technical assistance resources that are available to businesses at the state. So business.ca.gov, go to the top, and then you'll be able to select from that COVID-19 page. And then you can see here that we have our newsletter, which we encourage you to subscribe to, where we provide updates and videos and other informatics, but we also post those all here as well. So you can see here, we also put the information from the SBA's program. We have our own capital disaster relief loan guarantee program of our own that is listed on here on the website. There is the California Capital Access Program, another loan program that is offered throughout the state, and you can go here right here. We have a phone number right here and an email that you can use. And then if you go down, we have, of course, the piece that talks about, essential versus non-essential, labor and workforce support, and then business taxes. And at this website in totality, we have a range of, we have different parts where you can look at by your sector. And if you click, for example, agriculture and ag tech, and I'm just going to do this, you can scroll down here and you can see, different incentives that we list for this industry, for those who work in agriculture. We have the same up here for, small business innovation and entrepreneurship. So we have a small business page here, and we have a range of apps that we have, including a permitting tool, a business mapping tool, business incentive navigator, all here, right here, easy to use and intuitive. And if you go at the top, you can click contact us, and then you scroll down, and then you can just push email us. We have our contact information here. We have our social media networks where we post live on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and you click email us, and then you go here to our Zendesk ticket system where you can type in your information with any question or any request that you have. You can add files if you have a picture of some type of issue that you're facing with permitting or anything like that in regards to the state or even any other agency that you're dealing with, even at maybe the federal level. And you will be directly paired with a GoBiz staff within 48 hours to solve your question. So we take big pride in being, that is all the way to something that is fairly difficult to something that is very easy in terms of finding you something. So we are very responsive through the system, and the tickets are paired and made directly to each of our staff. So once again, you can go here, all the information here. We also have Newsroom where we post our press releases and updates. I will give a big announcement here in this call today, and that is that we are kicking off a series of 4 weekly webinars with the Governor's Office of Planning and Research. The first one is actually in 30 minutes, and so hence why I'm having to jump. And it is a series of weekly webinars on federal funding. We've been working with federal agency partners weekly to discuss federal funding. These are obviously primarily aimed at businesses and economic development staff at cities. So we plan on having those webinars be posted both on our website, our YouTube, our Twitter channels, and we're also doing a series of 8 program impact videos. And program impact videos are going to be small micro-learning videos, 10 to 30 minutes, posted on our YouTube. You can view them at your own time, but it's us as GoBiz with a staff, for example, in the PPP program at the SBA. And we're giving them the Zoom screen share for them to actually just walk you through the application and tell you things that you need to know or things that you might miss. We understand that time is of the essence for everyone and that information is valuable. We don't want to have to, hold anybody accountable to any specific time. We want to be able to have people view those resources with other agencies on their own time. So we'll be posting 8 of those videos that walk you through programs, both federal and state, that you can explore for your business and for your community if you are a local government staff. And so those will not only be posted on our YouTube, which you can just type in GoBiz on YouTube and find us, but they also will be posted here on the COVID-19 page. So once again, business.ca.gov, go here to the main landing page. You'll get this drop down for our COVID page. You can explore our website. And of course, if you have any questions, just reach out and contact us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Bradley. Appreciate your time that you spent with us this morning and sharing some of the resources on how to access them. primarily as it relates to the state itself. And we just want to commend the governor's office on the way that they are responding to the business community and trying to provide those resources as quick as possible to our businesses, as it's extremely important right now. With that, again, I would like to remind everybody to submit those questions to econdev@cityofmenifee.us. And again, to utilize the interpreter, please hover over in your top right corner, the 3 dots, and select Spotlight Video for those services. We're now going to kick it into gear, and we're going to introduce Ms. Karla Gonzalez. She is with the Small Business Development Center, or SBDC. And again, that is one of the programs provided under the City of Menifee's Building Better Businesses, our B3 program. She's with the Inland Empire Small Business Development Center. She counsels our business owners on the managerial and technical aspects of expanding business within the City of Menifee and the state of California, as well as the importance of the sound financial management of business. Karla holds a bachelor's in business and management along with a master's in business administration with an emphasis in finance from the University of Redlands School of Business. So without further ado, Ms. Gonzalez, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Gina. Good afternoon, good morning, everybody. I apologize. So like Gina mentioned, my name is Karla. I am with the SBDC. Let me see if I can get, there we go. So the SBDC is a national program with over 1,000 locations, which helps stimulate economic growth through business development. We are a proud partner of the SBA, and we're also funded in part through GoBiz as well. What we do is we help businesses through various different mechanisms, whether it's consulting, training, and providing resources. So because of the City of Menifee, we are located at the chamber office once a week. Right now, obviously, we're working remotely, but we offer that one-on-one consulting through the Inland Empire Small Business Development Center. That is your local SBDC for our area here. We have various different expertise that range from experts in QuickBooks, social media, marketing, finance, government contracting, certifications, general startups, and obviously loans. So whatever the business needs are able to meet either with myself or any of my counterparts on any of those various topics. And we're doing a lot of Zoom appointments now, but we do phone appointments. And once we go back to normal, we'll be doing our face-to-face appointments. We also, out of our office, have a lot of different workshops, webinars that are available. Currently, right now, all of our webinars are available online only. Our workshops, excuse me, they're webinars. So as you can see, I listed a couple of our webinars that are coming up right now. The closest one being April 29th, which is loans for your business. But we also have understanding your financials, how to start your small business, and marketing to generate new leads, excuse me. So the additional webinars can be found on that link right there, and it would be just straight to our website, and you would go under events, workshops, and you'll see the calendar of events. For your area here, I am your local consultant in Menifee. I am available right now through phone, through Zoom, and through email. So you are more than welcome to email me, text me if you like, whatever is the best for you. I try to respond fairly quickly. So my email is on there, and so is my website and my office number. So we still have an office number. It will go to our main line, and then she will filter you out to a consultant if I'm not available. As Gina mentioned before, we are funded through the B3 program to the City of Menifee as well. So they are one of our partners here in the community. So my particular program sits under the B3 with the City of Menifee. So I'm going to be covering the SBA programs that are out right now. So we have the EIDL, which is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, the PPP, which is the Paycheck Protection Program, and then the SBA Small Business Debt Relief Program. So many of you have already applied or are thinking about applying. There is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. That is a loan that is done through the SBA. The funds can be used for fixed debt, payroll, accounts payable, and any operational costs that came about because of COVID-19. The funds cannot be used to replace lost sales, profits, or to expand. The basics of the program is the loan can be up to $2 million. Your interest rate we're looking at is 3.75%. If you're a nonprofit, that would go down to 2.75. The terms can be up to 30 years. The basics for eligibility for this program is you must have been affected by COVID-19. You must have less than 500 employees, and we do not count independent contractors. Corporations, sole proprietors, and independent contractors can apply on their own. and so can nonprofits under the IRS exemption 501c, D, or E. On the collateral, for this particular loan, anything under $25,000 does not require any type of collateral. If you're going above that, then we will look at real estate and any other business assets for collateral. And personal guarantees are not needed if your loan amount is under $200,000. What you'll need when you apply for this particular loan is make sure you know your credit score and your history. Understand what the use of funds are going to be used for. Know your numbers for 2019, so your profit and loss. If you have your taxes, that's even better, but we would look at the 2019 profit and loss, and then your tax returns for the last 2 years. For this particular loan, you would go ahead and apply directly on the website at the SBA. Now, I will tell you the website right now has removed the application. We're hoping it goes back live, if not Friday, hopefully Monday. But this is the website you would go to locate the application. That application will complete the SBA Form 5 and SBA Form P019. That is part of the application process. I will tell you the application will only take you no more than between 20 to 30 minutes to complete online. It's fairly quick. At the very end, you do have the option to elect to get the advancement of up to $10,000. That is the final option on that application process. It's about 4 or 5 step process. So that final step will ask you, would you want to be considered for an advancement of up to $10,000? If you do not check it off, you will not be considered. So please make sure you check off that box so that you are considered. Now, that $10,000 advancement is based on number of employees. So it's $1,000 per employee. So if you put in, you have 4 employees, your advancement amount can be up to $4,000, but it can never go over 10. So keep that in mind when you're completing the application. The submission deadline is December 31st, 2020. SBA currently right now is going through the applications that it received prior to the system closing down. So they are working through the applications. For those that have submitted them, please keep in mind that the SBA received an overwhelming amount of applications. So they are working through them as fast as they possibly can. Just to give you a quick example on what the loan would look like, if you get a loan of $25,000 for 30 years at 3.75%, you're looking at about $116,000 $116 a month. If you're looking at a loan of $100,000 at 30 years at 3.75, you're looking at $460 a month on the payments. The other big program through the SBA is the Paycheck Protection Program, which is the PPP. The funds for this can be used for interest on mortgage payments, your payroll, rent, and utilities, and any interest on any debt incurred prior to February 15th, 2020. On this particular program, the maximum amount is $10 million. Your rate will be 1%, and the loan term will be up to 2 years. For this one here, the eligibility, once again, the business must have been affected by COVID-19. Business size, 500 and below with employees. Independent contractors do not count. Who can apply? Corporations, sole proprietors, and independent contractors can apply here on their own. And so can nonprofits. And there's specific rules for food service and accommodations and franchises. And I can provide that as needed. There are no fees to apply for this. And there's no personal guarantees or collateral requirements. And your first payment is deferred for 6 months. If you want more information, those are the 2 direct links that give you the final rules on the PPP and the Treasury website where you can find further information on that PPP program. So people commonly ask, how much can I borrow? Because the PPP is based around payroll. So when we look at the PPP program, the loan can be up to 2.5 times the borrower's average monthly payroll cost that do not exceed $10 million that are incurred the year prior to the loan date, capped at $100,000 per employee. If you were not operational in 2019, then the max loan would be 2.5 times your average total monthly payroll costs incurred January and in February. If you have seasonal employees, we're looking at 2.5 times the average total monthly payments for payroll costs for the 12-week period beginning February 15, 2019 or March 1st, 2019. That is decided by the actual business owner. What does what's included in the payroll cost. So we're looking at salary, wages, commissions, or similar compensation, payment of cash tip or equivalent, payment for vacation, paternal, family, medical, or sick leave, allowance for dismissal and separation, payment required for the previous of group healthcare benefits, including insurance premiums, payment of any retirement benefit, and payment of state or local assessed on the compensation of the employees. So that is what's included in payroll costs. So just to give you an idea of what we're looking in terms of the loan, if your annual payroll is $120,000 for 2019, then we look at that divided by 12, multiplied times 2.5, and that gives us your maximum loan amount of $25,000. Okay, if your annual payroll is 1.2 million, we look at that, divide that by 12, being the number of months in the year, multiply times 2.5, and your loan max would be $250,000. So that's how you would calculate your loan maximum. Now, the biggest question on the PPP is the forgiveness component of it. So the forgiveness component is up to 100% forgiveness of the loan amount equal to the sum of the qualified costs incurred and payments made during the covered period, which is an 8-week period following when the loan is dispersed to you. At least 75% of the loan must be used to cover payroll costs. Forgiveness is based on employers maintaining, quickly rehiring employees, and maintaining salary levels. Forgiveness will be reduced if full-time headcount declines or if salary and wages decrease. So that is going to be the key for you to determine whether or not your loan will be forgiven. So we are urging all of our clients, if you do get the PPP, please keep accurate records so that when it comes time for the forgiveness, you have all your paperwork in place. The way to apply for the PPP, as you can see on my screen, that's a standard application that you can pull from the Treasury, but you have to apply through a lender. You don't go directly through the SBA, and the majority of your lenders have this application online. So you would just go straight to your, whether it's, whatever bank you're using, they probably have some kind of online system that once you log in, you can access the online application and it walks you through step by step. So as I mentioned, normally I recommend you go to your business bank first to see if they're offering the PPP, so you can go ahead and apply through them. And if not, then you're able to go to any alternative lender that is doing the PPPs. The other program that's not really talked about a whole lot is the SBA Small Business Debt Relief Program. This one is for businesses that have new or current SBA 7A 504 loans and or microloans that were issued before September 27, 2020. This particular program will cover automatically their principal, interest, and additional fees for 6 months. So their payments are going to be covered for 6 months. So if anybody currently has an SBA loan right now, you might have seen those payments deferred. If not, contact your lender and make sure that you are under the Small Business Debt Relief Program, because this will cover your payments for the next 6 months. For those that don't qualify for any of the SBA programs, there are alternative lenders. As our GoBiz rep mentioned, there is the iBank system. You can go through and get other information on alternative lenders. And then locally here in the community, we have other lenders as well. We have Accion, Ampac Business Capital, CDC Small Business Finance, and Opportunity Fund as well. There are more programs coming out, so hopefully by next week we have additional resources for our businesses in terms of lending. But keep in mind, this is ever changing, so we get more information daily, and as we get it, we will try to send it out to our businesses. Under our SBDC, we actually have SBDC daily calls, and you are able to go ahead and call in through that Zoom link right there, register yourself, and ask questions regarding whether it's a PPP application or an EIDL application, or just to get general information on the program. This is open to the public. We have them daily, so the next one today is at 3 o'clock and one again tomorrow. I believe they're doing one on Saturday as well. So you're able to call in, ask questions, and hopefully they get answered. Keep in mind, we have about 500 callers on those calls. So they try to answer everybody's question, but if you send an email to the actual narrator or the moderator, she will be able to respond to you within 24 hours, or she'll send it over to me. Also, if you have any questions, you are more than welcome to reach out to me as well. I try to answer whatever I know, obviously as fast as I can. I try to respond within, right now my record is about 2-hour turnaround time. I can meet with you one-on-one through Zoom. I can meet with you via the phone, whatever you need to help you with any of these processes. We are here as a resource to you. Because of the SBA, because of GoBiz and the city of Menifee, we are able to provide consulting to you, whether it's on the COVID pandemic that's going on right now and the financing options, or just general, day-to-day business operations. If you have questions on QuickBooks, contracting, any of that, we're able to help you. So keep that in mind, because I believe a lot of people don't know what we do or that we are available. And because, like I said, of the city of Menifee, we're very, very proud to be a part of the community and being able to help your local businesses. I know that I've already met with several clients in the area, and just to kind of give you guys a little bit of a boost, I have had clients in the past couple of days get approved through EIDL, getting loans from anywhere from $50,000 to $350,000. I've had clients already get advancements from anywhere from $1,000 to $10,000, and we already had a couple of clients go through the PPP program and get funded. It's moving slowly, obviously, because we're dealing with the pandemic that's nationwide, but it is moving, so just be patient. Once again, like I mentioned, I am available. The number on this particular screen goes to our network office, which covers Orange County, Inland Empire, and San Bernardino. So you can call that number as well, or you can just contact me directly, and I can go ahead and connect you with either myself or one of my counterparts. Thank you all, and I hope this is helpful. Like I said, please reach out to me. I'm here to help. Thanks, Gina.
Thank you, Karla. And again, here in the city of Menifee, we like to keep it very simple. Karla and myself just refer to us as the Gonzalez's. We're here to assist our businesses. And again, we just wanted to reiterate, if you do have questions, to please submit them to econdev@cityofmenifee.us as well. And we also have the chat that is being monitored directly on Ring Central, this service as we're speaking. We're now going to kick into gear, and we're going to introduce Mr. Jennings Imel. He is the Executive Director of Western Region U.S. Chamber of Commerce, and he's a very dear friend of mine, and I'm so excited to see all the great things that Jennings is doing, and he's here to provide an update. Jennings is responsible for legislative and political grassroots activities within the states of Arizona, California, Hawaii, Nevada, and Utah. And he also supports the Chamber's national public policy goals, which really equates to our business community. Before he joined the Chamber of Commerce in 2013, he worked in Washington, D.C. at the U.S. Association of Former Members of Congress, and also at the public affairs firm Mercury, Clark & Weinstock. Earlier, he worked in the California State Assembly, and he's also managed and worked on several successful congressional and state legislative campaigns, mostly in Southern California. Jennings received his master's degree in international affairs from George Washington University and holds a bachelor's degree in political science and German from the University of California of Riverside. So he's a local native, but we'll go ahead and we'll kick it on over to Mr. Imel. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Gina. Thanks for the introduction. We go way back, obviously, so it's good to see you back in our state legislative days. And thanks to Tony and the Menifee Valley Chamber for helping to put this on. We really appreciate, obviously, the partnership and the relationship that we have with the Menifee Valley Chamber and with chambers of commerce all across this country. And that partnership has proven to be absolutely vital in these times, these very difficult times, desperate times that businesses are facing. And I think, quite frankly, it's also highlighted the importance of the chamber community and how important chambers are to the business community and being that resource of information whether it's, on how to navigate the SBA's EIDL program or the PPP program or kind of what else is out there for businesses during these tough times. Chambers have really been looked at as kind of the go-to organization. So we appreciate everything that chambers across the country are doing, and we're going to continue to fight not only for business, obviously, but for chambers. And so I'll talk a little bit about that and what we're doing in DC and trying to make chambers and other 501c tax exempt nonprofit organizations eligible for federal relief. I'll talk a little bit about that, but that's certainly going to be a big push of ours because chambers have been doing such important and critical work. That being said, Karla kicked it off pretty nicely with the PPP and the EIDL program and talking about how those programs operate. And I know that a lot of the people that are on this call have an intimate knowledge of those programs because they've already applied, most of them. I assume most of the folks on this call have applied for either an EIDL loan or for a PPP loan through their lender. And so they are kind of knowledgeable of a lot of the technical issues that are out there and the eligibility requirements, but it's always good, of course, to have somebody from SBDC kind of go over that again for people, just as kind of a refresher, and in case people haven't gone through that process. It's really good amount of information there. We're obviously very much engaged in this issue in DC. We've been interacting, engaging with Congress on addressing some of the problems with the PPP and EIDL program. Those problems have been out there, and I know that a lot of you are aware of those, and I'll discuss those on this call, and then really kind of pushing Congress to address, obviously, the economic fallout that we've seen from coronavirus and come up with ways on how to reopen the economy. I think that that's going to be an important kind of subject that we hit on over the next couple of weeks. But we've been very much obviously engaged on this issue. Congress has been very active over the last, well, almost 2 months now on coronavirus. There have been multiple legislative packages that have been passed, over $2.5 trillion worth, right, of legislative packages. This is it's really the largest undertaking that we've ever seen from Congress. And it obviously makes sense given the what's been happening nationwide on a health perspective and the economic perspective as well. You look at some of the economic figures. We saw unemployment claims numbers come out today from last week, 4.4 million additional unemployment claims. So now we're at 26 million over the last 5 weeks. So we're approaching, I don't know, between 15 and 20% of the country's workforce now have applied for unemployment in the last 5 weeks. In the state of California, we have almost 3 million unemployment claims that have been filed over the last several weeks. I think we're somewhere around 17% of the workforce from March 1st. So if you look at the workforce in the state of California on March 1st, about 17% of that number is filed for unemployment since then. So these are pretty catastrophic numbers. And so that really underlines why Congress has worked so hard to address this issue. And of course, they passed the CARES Act. That was the $2.2 trillion package that included the PPP program, the $350 billion program for small business, included a number of other things as well. They passed that on March 27th. The thinking was in Congress that $350 billion would be enough for small businesses to provide for payroll relief for at least 6 to 8 weeks. Of course, that ended up not being true. That program ran out of money very, very quickly. And I think that was really kind of a surprise, certainly for members of Congress that thought that money that would stick around. When you saw the program go live on Friday, April 3rd, over the weekend, there were literally hundreds of thousands of applications that went in worth tens of billions of dollars. And so it became clear that that was going to run out of money. It did ultimately run out last Thursday morning. And so a lot of folks that were kind of in the queue waiting to hear back from their lender haven't heard back and are kind of waiting on Congress to act and to replenish those funds. And so that's what's been happening now. The Senate did attempt to address this issue about a week and a half ago by just kind of inserting an additional $250 billion into the program, not making any other legislative changes. That unfortunately did not work out. There were a number of demands, particularly from Senate Democrats, to include funding for hospitals and also funding for states and local governments, things like that, testing as well. And so that's why we've seen the negotiations that we've seen over the last week and a half to try to replenish the PPP and EIDL programs and address some other things. So we did see some progress on that. On Tuesday, the Senate passed through unanimous consent. That means all 100 senators were on board, and that's kind of the way they have to pass this, quite frankly, right now. Through unanimous consent, they passed a replenishing of the PPP and EIDL programs, as well as additional funding for some other things. I'll begin to share my slide deck right now. Let's see. Yes, let's try to share this. I think it's always important, or at least a little bit helpful, to have the visual on this program and other things. So this is the Phase 3.5 bill that was passed by the Senate, like I said, through unanimous consent. The House is going to take this up today. Hopefully will pass within the next several hours. And then the President would be expected to sign this into law either this evening or tomorrow morning at the latest. So what's in this bill, this 3.5 or Phase 3.5 bill? You have $310 billion of additional funding for the Paycheck Protection Program, which is great. So now we have a total of about $660 billion. Now there's also set-asides of $60 billion for smaller financial institutions and credit unions. So if there's $30 billion specifically set aside for these institutions and credit unions that have assets between $10 and $50 billion, and another $30 billion set aside or even smaller institutions that have less than $10 billion worth in assets. And that's really to help some of the smaller community banks and to help with small businesses that were considered underbanked or didn't have pre-existing lending relationships or strong lending relationships, particularly minority-owned businesses that were kind of unable to access the first round of PPP loans. This is specifically designed to help some of those folks. We certainly heard a lot of complaints from folks that did not have pre-existing lending relationships, that they were kind of shut out of the process. And even folks that did have lending relationships were kind of shut out of the process depending on what bank they were going to, because banks were kind of clamoring too to get this program out as quickly as possible. And oftentimes what we heard is that they not only prioritized people that they had lending relationships with, but they also prioritized the bigger loan amounts, quite frankly, because not only did they have a relationship with these folks, but because that meant that they could help the most amount of people possible in as quick amount of time as possible. So that's why it was kind of rolled out that way. Obviously, a lot of issues with that. We're aware of a lot of the issues, particularly around the folks that are in the food service and hospitality industry that had the carve out that allowed them to get the access to up to $10 million in loans, even if they had more than 500 total employees, because they had less than 500 on a per location basis, they were able to get access to these loans. And so we're aware of obviously some of the controversy that surrounded that. And we've seen a number of these companies give money back, for instance. But I think it's important to note that at least with Congress's intent when doing this was to get money out of the system and into the system as fast as possible. And so there was an understanding that there were going to be issues like this where folks were going to be shut out, or there would be potential problems, and those problems we've seen. But I think that Congress wasn't all too concerned with those problems, quite frankly, because if they had attempted to address all of those problems legislatively, then they wouldn't have been able to get the CARES Act passed by March 27th. We might still be talking about it today. So that's why it was done so quickly, and inevitably there are going to be issues. But this new funding program does include, of course, more money for PPP, which is great. There are no changes to eligibility for nonprofits. So that's for 501c tax-exempt organizations, including 501c6s, which are chambers of commerce, which that's what I mentioned at the beginning of the call. They, of course, are in dire need of assistance. They don't have access to PPP money. They do have access to EIDL money, but even that's been kind of hit or miss depending on who you're talking to at the SBA. So that's been kind of an issue for some folks, and we're going to continue to work on that and work with Congress and urge Congress to include C6s and other nonprofit organizations to make them eligible for federal relief as well. Now, when I'm talking about this PPP money, it's great to see that there's going to be more money to go around for folks. And folks that have already submitted their applications and are in the queue don't have to worry about reapplying. As long as they've submitted the application and it's been confirmed that the bank received it, they won't have to reapply. But I should mention that if you look at the numbers, the fact that there are hundreds of thousands of applications still in the queue, just JP Morgan Chase, for example, has several 100,000 that have yet to be originated. So the loans have not been dispersed. These are several 100,000 loans that are just waiting there, waiting for the money to come from the SBA, worth tens of billions of dollars, and that's just one bank. We're hearing that it's very likely that this $310 billion increase, that we'll run out of that money within a few days. So that's going to be another problem. Hopefully that won't be the case, but just kind of looking at some of the math, that's what it looks like. So that does mean that Congress will probably have to address this issue at some point again in the future, and whether that's through a broader phase 4 package or whether they just do a simple fix to the PPP program and insert more money, I don't know what that's going to look like, but that's going to be an issue that's out there. Don't want to panic, folks, but just so everybody's aware that could be an issue. On the EIDL program, there was an additional $60 billion for that program as well. Which is great. $10 billion set aside for the cash advance grant of $10,000, which Karla mentioned on the call, which has been extremely popular for folks. So that's been good. It now allows the change that it did make to the CARES Act is it allows agricultural enterprises with fewer than 500 employees to be able to access these EIDL loans as well. And then something that I like to mention to folks that are thinking about applying for both or have already applied for both loans is that they are very different. Of course, the PPP is done through your lender. The EIDL is done directly to the SBA. And those loans that the the amount of time that it's taking to get those loans dispersed is much longer because the SBA has very limited bandwidth. Obviously, they're not accustomed to having this kind of demand for this program. You know, they only had $17 billion worth of lending capacity initially, and they exceeded that within probably a matter of days. So they've been very, very stressed, and I know that they're working hard, obviously, to help as many folks out as possible. But just understand that some of the times that we're seeing 4, 5, 6 weeks to get a loan from the SBA through the EIDL program, it is long. It is going to be longer than PPP for the most part. So understanding that small businesses have a major liquidity crisis, I think it's important to mention that. Some of the other issues that are included in this phase 3.5, $75 billion more for hospitals and healthcare providers. So now we have a total of $175 billion. Same language as the CARES Act, so there are no amendments there. And an additional $25 billion now for COVID-19 tests, which is going to be incredibly important. Obviously, the more testing we can have and the more accurately we're able to assess kind of how this virus and how widespread this virus is in various communities, the better position we'll be to be able to open up the economy. So that's a big thing, and we're happy to see that. We do have more information on our website as well that I'd encourage folks to check out. If you go to uschamber.com/SBLoans, you'll be able to find our 4-pager that kind of helps small businesses navigate the PPP program. That's been really helpful, really useful for people. We also have uschamber.com/coronavirus. That's kind of our one-stop shop for all the information on PPP program, EIDL program. We also have a guide now that just went live last week for independent contractors that are trying to access PPP money. Some of the rules for independent contractors are obviously going to be a little bit different. Some of the paperwork that you're going to need to provide your lender is going to be different from what we've seen from small businesses. So we have a new guide that addresses those concerns and will help independent contractors, understanding that there's about 23 million independent contractors in the country. So a lot of these folks are going to need assistance. Of course, as Karla mentioned as well, on the Treasury website, you go to treasury.gov/cares. You'll be able to find more information on this stuff. You'll be able to see, if you want to take a read and look at the guidance that comes out from Treasury, 30-page, 40-page. If you have the time to do that, you can go ahead. But there's also the PPP application form on there as well that you'll be able to access, fill out, and then you'll need to bring that as well as payroll information and other things to your lender if you're applying for a PPP loan. So that's what we have on our website. The other main topic I think that I really need to hit on, and I kind of started to get into it a little bit when I talked about testing and the fact that testing is really going to lay the groundwork for us to be able to reopen the economy. That's really the big focus of the U.S. Chamber now, is not only making sure that we have now PPP money, EIDL money in place. We're going to continue to stay on Congress to make sure small businesses are helped out. We're going to continue to stay on Congress to help out 501c6s and other nonprofits. But we need to have a real discussion on how we're going to reopen the economy. So that's been the other major point of emphasis for us. We've launched this Path Forward initiative a couple of weeks ago that goes over how to reopen the economy, that addresses a number of issues, really 3 major bullet points that we need to have addressed. We worked extensively with the administration when they put together their framework on that 3-phase reopening of the economy last week. We worked with them on that. We worked with Congress and continue to work with Congress on this as well. But these are real issues that we're going to have to take a serious look at. Essential services, for sure, that are going to be necessary for returning to work. Absolutely. Health screening, COVID-19 testing, that goes without saying. Personal protective equipment, getting that installed in various businesses, that's going to be key. And allowing businesses to be able to have the time to make those installations is going to be key. But I think, too, a big point of emphasis for us, and something that may be overlooked, things like childcare, public transportation. Childcare is going to be huge. We're going to have to think about how we provide, how the government could provide financial support for childcare services, because a lot of childcare facilities are closed right now. They're going to be needed. We're going to need them to open up in order to get folks back into the workforce, understanding that schools, for the most part, nationwide, are closed indefinitely, or at least until September. And so, these childcare facilities are going to need to be around to take care of children. And understanding that now with social distancing rules and the fact that their client base is probably going to be diminished, because we're not going to have the entire workforce go back to work all at once, These childcare facilities are going to be operating essentially at a loss. And so what kind of assistance is going to be out there for them? I think that's going to be an important intellectual exercise that we engage in. Same thing for public transportation, of course. That's a key, especially in major cities, but even in smaller towns, getting folks to work, but understanding that with social distancing rules and the fact that we're going to have staggered schedules and things like that to prevent further spread of the virus, public transportation systems also are going to be operating at a significant loss. And what kind of assistance are we going to be able to provide for them? So those are some of the major things that we're going to have to think about kind of right off the bat. And then a big part of this, of course, is going to be on regulatory legal liability issues for businesses. Businesses are going to be operating in a new world. Even when we reopen, things are going to be obviously very, very different from what they were before COVID-19. Businesses might be required to collect data, personal data on folks' health. So whether that's their employees' health or whether that's customers that are coming into their workplace, how is that going to look? What are some of the data privacy concerns that we're going to see there? Discrimination issues, obviously, with folks that are older, being more vulnerable to this disease, and with folks with pre-existing conditions. Are they going to be discouraged from going to work? Are they themselves going to be kind of reluctant to go back into the workplace? What issues come with that? Are we going to have to talk about not only discrimination issues, but expansion of unemployment insurance for those folks as well that don't feel safe going back to work? Of course, the liability issues that are going to be around if folks get sick. And we've already seen that here in the state of California, right? Governor Newsom talking about doing an executive order on expanding workers' compensation to compensate for employees that get COVID-19. So employers are essentially going to be on the hook for that and are going to see increased workers' comp costs. So those are some issues that we really have to think about. Independent contractors is another one, of course. PPE, the installation of PPE, what OSHA requirements are going to be there for employers to make sure that they're adequately training their employees in the use of this PPE. There's even liability issues for manufacturers of PPE. If folks get sick, even though PPE was installed, are the manufacturers of that PPE now going to be liable? There's all kinds of issues, and you can imagine over the next couple of months as we begin to reopen, this is going to be quite a boon for trial lawyers potentially to target businesses. So we need to make sure that Congress addresses this issue and creates safe legal harbors or legal safe harbors for businesses to be able to really address some of these things, install the PPE, do what they need to do in regards to training and other things to make sure that they're limiting their liability. And we've seen more statements from the president on this. The president mentioned this in his presser on, I think, on Monday, and then Larry Kudlow mentioned it the other day as well, that this is going to need to be addressed by Congress and could be addressed through regulatory means as well. But that's a big deal. And then we're also going to have to look at additional support for businesses, right? So businesses that require large gatherings of people to be able to operate and be profitable. So that's restaurants, it's folks in hospitality and travel. Even if we do go back to work, things are not going to go back to normal for a number of months, maybe even for the rest of the year. And so we're going to be expecting these businesses to potentially operate at significant financial losses. And so what kind of assistance is going to be out there and should be made available by Congress to help with these problems? So these are some of the things that we're thinking about. I know it's a lot, obviously, to digest, but we're continuing to talk with businesses and chambers around the country. We have calls twice a week with our president, Suzanne Clark. We have one today at noon, so every Monday and Thursday, and we're trying to address these issues and look for feedback. We've summoned or convened a few task forces as well that are kind of industry specific, looking at various industries and what their needs are going to be to reopen the economy. So that's going to be a big point of emphasis for us. Looking at phase 4, I know that's the other issue that comes up quite a bit because there's a lot of confusion. People think that what passed out of the Senate this week and what's moving legislatively this week is phase 4. That's not actually the case. This is, like I said, phase 3.5. Phase 4 will be, that'll require Congress to go back to DC. So that'll require roll call votes, most likely in the Senate and the House, which means we're going to have kind of more of a normal legislative process than what we've had lately, where things are done kind of through unanimous consent and all that, or voice vote. Phase 4, I don't know what the timing on that's going to be, but what's going to be included in there will be state and local funding, for sure. That's been a big issue. Maybe more money for small businesses. The nonprofit issue, C6 issue will probably be addressed, hopefully. Unemployment insurance expansion, I think or reform, changes to that program. There's been talk, particularly on the Democrat side, on increases to the SNAP benefits. I think proxy voting, remote voting for Congress, that might be another issue that comes up at some point. But there are going to be a lot of things that need to be addressed in phase 4. And like I said, I don't know what the timing is going to be. If you look at the statements that have come out from Majority Leader McConnell, he has made it clear that he does not want to move too quickly. He wants to take a wait and see approach to see how the CARES Act kind of works. It's important to note that there are a lot of programs in the CARES Act too that have yet to really get underway. The credit facilities for mid-size and larger companies, for example, is not yet operational. So there are a lot of things that still need to happen. He wants to take a more measured approach and wait until May, early May. That's when Congress is supposed to go back to DC to work on a phase 4. I think Democrats are more eager to address some of the state funding issues and things like that. So they'll probably push for earlier action. But that remains to be seen. But that's where we are right now in phase 4. We'll be heavily engaged on that. And then, of course, reopening the economy, that's going to be, I think, a key part of the conversation moving forward over the next couple of weeks. So that's it. I know it's a lot of information to digest, but I'll leave it there.
Thank you very much, Mr. Imel. We appreciate the update. I know there's a lot of movement that's going on in DC, especially right now with what's happening. And we just appreciate having a partner like the U.S. Chamber of Commerce to assist our businesses in what's happening and advocating on their behalf and advocating on behalf of our chambers that assists our local economy as well as the city. And so those changes that are happening at the federal level obviously impact the community, our city specifically, and the resources that we're able to provide as far as goes, public safety, you name it. It does. There's a trickle down effect on the city's ability to respond to the needs of our community. So with that, I know that we have a few people that do need to take off. I wanted to address some of the questions. We're now in the question and answer components of this. And one of them that we did receive from the community is directed to you, Mr. Arballo. They're asking about, we just heard from a few of the resources of what that's going to look like to the businesses if they start to trickle opening up. Is there maybe an order down the road that is going to look at the possibility of schools returning to assist with that childcare issue, since schools were still open before?
Right. And I know that that Dr. Kaiser's order for the schools continues through June, and so that's something that he has not discussed changing until we're able to get some of those other elements of the economy and society opened up. But right now, as it stands, the schools isn't going to change unless there are several other dominoes that fall first, because we can't have schools opening and then not have other areas that are available to use for parents and families. The other thing too is you have to remember there's a governor's order in place as well, and so a lot of what we do at the local level is more dependent on what the governor does as well. Because I know that has a lot to do with businesses, what are essential and non-essential businesses. So that's something that our Dr. Kaiser, our public health officer, mentioned to me a while ago, that some of our limitations are because of what the governor's ordering.
Okay, I have another question here. Since we just talked about the P3 program, so to speak, is going to possibly run out the minute that it becomes live within the next few days, as was mentioned. One of the questions is, should I even apply? And if so, what exactly do I need to have ready to go on that hot moment? Karla?
So I would suggest, yes, please apply sooner rather than later. Get in line. And what we suggest you get ready is going to be your 2019 payroll information. So if you're able to pull out that 2019 payroll information and we average it out for what it was monthly, that's going to help you when you're doing the online application, because they're going to ask you what loan amount you want. And that's going to be based off that 2019 payroll information. So we get the 2019 payroll information divided by 12 to get our average, multiply it times 2.5, and that becomes your loan amount.
Another question was, can I use the entire amount of the loan to pay employees? And then do I have to hire the same employees back?
You can use the entire amount to pay for payroll, You don't have to hire the same employees back, but you have to maintain your employee count. So if you stated you have 8 employees, you have to maintain 8 employees, whether they're new employees or your old employees, you have to maintain the number that you put on your application.
Okay. And then once they submit an application online, are they contacted by a loan officer, or who exactly is going to contact them back to let them know, one, that their application has been received, and then 2, the timing when they should possibly hear something back, if and at all?
So if they submitted the idle application that goes straight through the SBA would contact them. I know it was ambitious and said about 3 to 7 days. I'm telling my clients 21 days to 30 days. You should hear via email from the SBA on the idle program. Regarding the PPP, that's going through your lender. So depending on what systems your lender had in place, that's the way you would hear from them. I had some that say the lender only wanted for you to submit an inquiry form, and that's all it is, an inquiry form. But I had others that it was a full application up front. But that would be a communication between you and the lender.
Okay, and then also, if their bank does not take the applications in their branch and they send them to the website, is this even normal?
So right now, all banks are discouraging you from going into their branches to complete the PPP. It's all done online. So I've had several clients where I Zoom with, and if you have your business bank relationship with XYZ Bank, if you log into your business account, the application option for the PPP should be sitting there if your bank is doing the PPP. If it's not, then you have the option to go to a different lender that is offering the PPP, and everything is online.
All right, that concludes the submitted questions that we did receive. And Tony or Mayor, if you have any additional ones to add, or Mr. Villa, please chime in at this time.
You know, I will yield the floor to the mayor or the city manager.
So I don't have any more questions for our panelists, but I did want to thank them for being here this morning and all this great information. It's been informative. It's been valuable for our business owners. And if you're a business owner who's watching, we're just a phone call away, 951-672-6777. Our economic development team is here to serve you. You know, our hearts are with all of those businesses that have been affected by this virus. It's an unprecedented, challenging time, but our city remains committed to helping our businesses during this time. And, you know, we've prevailed through challenges before, and I'm very confident that our indomitable spirit's going to pull us through once again. And so let's stay strong. We know that brighter days are on the horizon. We got a great partnership with our Chamber of Commerce, and I'm going to kick it over to Tony now. But thank you, Tony, for helping us define our future.
You're welcome, Mr. Mayor. Again, I'll yield the floor to the city manager if he wants to say something before I do.
Can't hear you, Armando.
Yes, let me just mute this thing. Unmute it. Can you hear me now? Yes. I just want to echo your sentiments, Mr. Mayor. We're here to help, and if think we had a very good presentation full of information for your business for you to share with others. If for some reason you feel like we missed something, please get a hold of Gina Gonzalez and let her know. If we need to have another session to give out more information, we will, and we hope that this was very helpful for you. Thank you.
Let's also thank our ASL interpreter, Rebecca, for helping us today.
Great, thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple things that I'd like to bring up in closing. I want to thank the mayor, the city of Menifee, our city council, and especially our economic development team. You guys did a great job on this, putting it together. And of course, as mentioned on the screen, if you're seeing that, is all of our contact information. Also, I'd like to thank our guests for taking time out of their busy day to give us this information. I do want to make sure that you understand this is fluid. It can change as soon as we hang up this Zoom call. So Karla and her team are the SBDC are offering a 3 o'clock call. I get on those every day, and there's always a nugget of information to pick up. Brooke Roy, our ASL interpreter. We did something different. We are reaching out to our deaf and hard of hearing citizens and business owners. So this is a great step for us moving forward in our community. And Brooke, thank you so much for joining us today. Like the city, the Chamber of Commerce is here. Our office doors are closed. However, we are available by phone or email, which you can see on our screen. 951-672-1991 is my number. Option 1, if you want to get a hold of Tara, that is option 2. I did mention the CARES Act, especially the EIDL and the PPP, is a fluid program, so you need to stay up on this. If you do have any questions, please feel free to give me a call, the city, or Karla. I've been on enough of these where I can get you through some of this information. Also, again, I just want to plug SBDC for those 3 o'clock calls. They are very informative, and again, I pick up a nugget every time I get on it. With that, I believe we're going to be pushing some of this information out through our social media, correct, Gina?
Correct.
Your website, our website. I want to say that we're proud to work with the City of Menifee and Economic Development Team. I like to say we're working hand in glove. We're putting out a lot of information, a lot of phone calls. So again, thank you all for joining us today. City of Menifee, thank you so much for putting this information out. Gina, I'll turn it back over to you, or this is it.
Thank you very much. And again, just as a reminder, this is a recorded live segment that we will be broadcasting after this to provide that information to the rest of those businesses that if one way or another they could not attend, we wanted to make sure that you had this information. The last plug that I'm going to give is that the City of Menifee is holding a community update on April 29th at 10 a.m. That information will be published and shared, but wanted to give you guys a heads up of what's coming next week. So with that, again, econdev@cityofmenifee.us or menifeebusiness.com. We're here for you, and just know that we're in it together. Thank you and have a great rest of the week. Bye, guys.
Thank you. Be safe.